give me the right to be a human being. I'm born with that right. Now, you can keep me from having that if you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side.
Hello and welcome. Hopefully I got all the kinks worked out. I think I have the microphone a little bit louder. Hey, extortion everywhere. Thanks for joining me. How's the microphone sound tonight? All right, so I want to thank everyone for joining me for the first edition of Alternate Economy Wednesday, where we're going to be talking about setting up how to establish an alternate economy, an underground economy in your own area, and how to set it up, how to link up with other people who are like-minded, who want to work outside of the fiat currency and the central banking system. So I want to thank you for joining me. This is the first edition. We're going to do this every Wednesday. It's going to start at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Normally, I was a little bit late tonight because I'm trying to get things together. But I do appreciate you guys for joining me. It's all too much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is why I'm doing the show like up an underground economy. A lot of you are aware of the central banking system, the Federal Reserve, and how it manipulates the currency to keep the fat cats, the banksters, the banking cartel at the top, earning all the money, making everything. So that's the main reason to do it, really, is just for that. So it's, instead of having a centralized, banking system, we would like to try to go to a decentralized economy rather than what we currently have. So that's the main reason, but currently there's a lot of other additional reasons under our new normal. For example, right now we can go out to the store. Like when I go out, I'm typically one of the only masked people. If I go to Idaho, there's a few more, but here in Washington, I'm typically the only one that's not wearing a mask. Well, pretty soon, especially with the vaccines arriving, it's going to be you have to have a vaccine. And it might start with you have to have a piece of cardboard to show that says I got this vaccine. But then eventually that's not going to work. Eventually you're going to have a chip. So we have to start making decisions. And a lot of us, like myself, have already decided I'm not getting a vaccine. So if I'm not getting a vaccine, how am I going to be able to participate in an economy that requires me to have that, to go into a store, to go to a concert, to go to a sporting event, to travel, to go to the doctor, to get my medications? So we have to start thinking, if you don't want to be part of this new normal that they've created, then, there's two things we can do. We can try to defeat it. Personally, I don't think we can do that, because in order to do that, we have to just drop everything. So I think we should work together to create a new economy and work around it. And in the process of doing that, we would just drop everything. We would just quit participating with our system, and that would work. But we don't have the numbers for that right now, so we have to continue this idea of liberty and freedom and not being a slave to this fiat and the central banking system that controls everything. Is it still buffering? Sorry, I just looked at the comments. Hey, Mad Max. So that's kind of like what I got this idea from, is because in this new normal, if we don't want to take a vaccine, if we don't want the health passport chip, then we're going to have to find out other ways to do business and survive outside of the normal economy. So that means, a lot of people think of, and one of the more common things is, well, how are you going to trade goods? Well, what kind of currency are you going to use? Obviously, that would be trying to get off of fiat currency, trying to get onto the cryptocurrencies, maybe some bartering, things like that. There's lots of different options out there. But that's the point of this show, is to start talking about those. I'm going to start developing a network in my own area here in Eastern Washington and North Idaho. And maybe you guys can start doing the same thing on your own. I did a live stream a couple days ago on the People's Rights Network and the Freedom Cells Network. Those are both great kind of ways to start that and start networking at least with people in your area. So I'll throw some links when I'm done with this. I didn't do it in this one, but I'll throw some links to both those organizations in the description of this. While I'm talking about that, all the sources I use today, the description is in the, or excuse me, the links are in the description of this video. So make sure you check those out. So before I get going, everyone, tonight, how's everybody doing? I see I have some people in the chat room here. Hope you guys are having a good night. What are your thoughts on this? You guys excited about talking about establishing a new economy, an underground economy, or are you planning on getting a vaccine? Myself, I don't plan on getting one. I don't plan, I'm not going to wear a mask, so there you go. I'm starting to establish myself in an underground economy, and I think the rest of you should as well. I don't think it's healthy to take a vaccine, especially this one they're pushing on us that has I won't even go into that. We know where that's going to happen with this video. Shadows and Dust, yeah, okay. Right, Jesse Hansen. Okay, I think, so like I was saying, with having to get the health passport, the vaccines, wear masks, all this stuff, that's a good reason. If you don't want to have to do that, that's a good reason to start establishing an underground economy and figuring out how you're gonna operate and get the goods you need and things you need to survive outside of the economy that the central banksters, that the banking cartel, I should call it, have created. So one of the first things I want to do is, one of my favorite researchers and people I like to follow is James Corbett of the Corbett Report. So I just want to play a little bit from one of my favorite documentaries he did. It's called Century Enslavement, and it's about the history of the Federal Reserve, how it was established. So I just want to play a little bit of that, and just to give a little bit of background, and maybe we can have a little bit of discussion. I got a few things to cover here, and then maybe I'll open this up for some phone calls if you guys want to call and get in on the discussion yourself. I'm not going to keep it too long tonight, hopefully right around a half hour. So let me get to this clip here.
Under cover of darkness. It was the night of November 22nd, 1910, and a group of the richest and most powerful men in America were boarding a private rail car at an unassuming railroad station in Hoboken, New Jersey. The car, waiting with shades drawn to keep onlookers from seeing inside, belonged to Senator Nelson Aldrich, the father-in-law of billionaire heir to the Rockefeller dynasty, John D. Rockefeller Jr. A central figure on the influential Senate Finance Committee where he oversaw the nation's monetary policy, Aldrich was referred to in the press as the general manager of the nation. Joining him that evening was his private secretary Shelton, and a who's who of the nation's banking and financial elite. A. Pyatt Andrew, the assistant treasury secretary, Frank Vanderlip, president of the National City Bank of New York, Henry P. Davison, a senior partner of J.P. Morgan Company, Benjamin Strong Jr., an associate of J.P. Morgan and president of Bankers Trust Co., and Paul Warburg, heir of the Warburg banking family and son-in-law of Solomon Loeb of the famed New York investment firm Kuhn, Loeb & Company. The men had been told to arrive one by one after sunset to attract as little attention as possible. Indeed, secrecy was so important to their mission that the group did not use anything but their first names throughout the journey so as to keep their true identities secret even from their own servants and waitstaff. The movements of any one of them would have been reason enough to attract the attention of New York's voracious press, especially in an era where banking and monetary reform was seen as a key issue for the future of the nation. A meeting of all of them, now that would surely have been the story of the century. And it was. Their destination? The secluded Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia, home to the prestigious Jekyll Island Club whose members included the Morgans, Rockefellers, Warburgs, and Rothschilds. Their purpose? Davison told intrepid local reporters who had caught wind of the meeting that they were going duck hunting. But in reality, they were going to draft a reform of the nation's banking industry in complete secrecy. G. Edward Griffin, the author of the best-selling The Creature from Jekyll Island and a longtime Federal Reserve researcher, explains.
What happened is that the banks decided that since there was going to be legislation anyway to control their industry, that they wouldn't just sit back and wait and see what happened and cross their fingers that it would be okay. They decided that to do what so many cartels do today, they decided to take the lead, and they would be the ones calling for regulations and reform. They like the word reform, and the American people are suckers for the word reform. You just put that into any corrupt piece of legislation, call it reform, and people say, oh, I'm all for reform, and so they vote for it or accept it. So that's what they were doing. They decided, we will reform our own industry. In other words, we will create a cartel, and we will give the cartel the power of government. We'll take our cartel agreement so that we can self-regulate to our advantage, and we'll call it the Federal Reserve Act. And then we'll take this cartel agreement to Washington and convince those idiots there to pass it into law. And that basically was the strategy. It was a brilliant strategy. Of course, we see it happening all the time, and certainly in our own day today, we see the same thing happening in other cartelized industry. Right now, we're watching it unfold in the field of healthcare, but at that time, it was banking. All right, and so the banking cartel wrote their own rules and regulations, called it the Federal Reserve Act, got it passed into law, and it was very much to their liking because they wrote it. And in essence, what they had created is a set of rules which made it possible for themselves to regulate their industry, but they went even beyond that. In fact, it's clear to me when I was reading their letters and their conversations at the time and the debates that they never dreamed that Congress would go along and also give them the right to issue the nation's money supply. I mean, not only were they now going to regulate their own industry, which is what they started out as wanting to do, but they got this incredible gift that they didn't dream would be given to them, although they were negotiating for it. And that was Congress gave them the authority to issue the nation's money. And Congress gave away
Sorry. Didn't realize I was on mute. Thanks for giving me the heads up there, guys. So I was just saying, after this stream here, the next Wednesday, my streams are going to be on DLive from now on, not on YouTube. So make sure you're checking me out there. I've got a link in the description to my DLive channel, so make sure you go over there, subscribe to me, follow me there, so that when I am on there, you'll know. I will be uploading them to YouTube, but we should be getting off YouTube, guys. It's not... YouTube is for censorship. They censor my channel. They've kicked a lot of other freedom fighters, people that are good researchers and believe in the truth and spread the truth. They've kicked them off their platform. So we shouldn't be supporting them anymore. I'm trying to actually pull myself completely off of YouTube and get onto other platforms. So that's why I'm going over to DLive from now on with these, starting next Wednesday for the Alternate Economy Wednesdays, and then starting next Friday for my Cop Watch Live show that I'm going to have. My first Cop Watch Live this Friday will be here on YouTube, just like this, just to kind of maintain, get some people aware of what I'm trying to do. and then next week we'll start up on DLive. Like I said, I'm on all sorts of platforms, Library, BitChute, 3Speak, DTube, Minds.com. So check out links to all those platforms, and my channel on all those platforms is in the description. So check that out, and you really should be subscribing to multiple channels on multiple platforms to really decentralize how we absorb our media, I guess. All right, so that little clip, I don't know if you guys are fans of James Corbett. If you don't, you should follow him. I support him. I'm a member of his website. I religiously watch all his videos. I would assume a lot of you guys too. You seem to be pretty like-minded. Nice, Oregon Rogue. I'm glad you're there. Hope more of you join us over there. Mad Max, I saw that you said you were prepped and ready to go. That's good to hear. I don't know if you've looked at the Freedom Cells. Derek Rose kind of started those, or if you've looked at the People's Rights. But you might want to look into those. Those are some, like in my area, I signed up on the Freedom Cells. It's just freedomcell.org and peoplesrights.org. And those are good ways to network and find like-minded people. The Freedom Cells tends to be more of a voluntarist, anarchist-minded. The more libertarian kind of people, the constitutionalists, for the people's rights. But I belong to both of them, and I would recommend maybe joining up, or at least going to a meeting and see if you can meet some people there. All right, so the next thing, like I mentioned after watching that video, that's the central banksters. So they're the ones that set up this current economy, and they're the ones that benefit from us. And only the ones that people that they allow to benefit will truly benefit. So in order to set up something outside of that, one of the biggest things we have now, there's precious metals, gold, silver, things like that we can invest in and use those to trade, use those as currencies. But outside of that, one of the biggest things is cryptocurrency. And there's a lot of controversy about that. It can be used for good or bad, depending on who's in control. The idea that I like behind some of it is it can be decentralized, so it wouldn't have like a banking cartel like we currently have, and like they're trying to establish their own digital currency that would be like a cryptocurrency, but that is not one that I would favor. So that's why I want to just real quick talk about cryptocurrency a little bit. I'm going to show another little clip from another James Corbett video, kind of about the PSYOP possibilities of, actually not really that, just kind of explaining what the blockchain is and what cryptocurrency is. Just a little bit, give a little bit of an introduction there. But it is a really good way it's a peer-to-peer exchange. We don't have to write a check and that goes to the bank or use a credit card. I have a wallet address and you have a wallet address, and you send me directly to my address and it goes directly into my wallet. There's obviously Bitcoin is a big one that's very popular, the one most everybody knows about, but there's so many different cryptocurrencies available now. You can use them to invest in, and you can actually use them as currencies to exchange goods. One of my favorites, and I think everybody should look into it, is Monero. It's completely anonymous. Nobody knows who is involved in the transactions, how much. If someone sends me some, I don't know necessarily who it was unless they send me a message in the memo or unless they tell me. But as far as recorded, it's completely anonymous. So I really like that one. That's a really good one, obviously. But then there's also like Library, 3Speak, DLive, like I'm going to be doing this show on starting next week. You can earn cryptocurrency by using those platforms as well. They have their own, and when you start accumulating that, then you can sell that on the open market. You can exchange it for Ethereum or Bitcoin or Monero or whichever one you choose, or you can exchange it for fiat currency. It's up to you. But those are really cool. Like YouTube, they just use us and make money off of us with advertising. Whereas DLive and some of these other ones that are tokenized, you can earn it for being a viewer and upvoting, leaving comments, things like that. If you're a creator, obviously, if people leave you comments, they can tip you some of the cryptocurrency. So it's especially for people that are a content creator just starting out. It's great because everybody can start making some sort of an income from jump, really from start. So cryptocurrencies, we're going to be talking about that a little bit on these shows. I just wanted to briefly talk about it. I'm going to play this clip from the Corbett Report, and I hope you guys start learning a little bit about them, researching. I'm going to put a link to the clip that I showed from the Century of Enslavement, and the Bitcoin PSYOP clip that I'm going to show. Both those videos, I have links in the description of this, so check those out if you haven't already. Start looking into it. I'll actually put a link to a couple of wallets. Like Free Wallet is an app you can download. It's also, you can download it or sign into it on your computer. It has multiple wallets for multiple cryptocurrencies, and you can exchange it within the wallet. I really like that one. So I'll put a link when I'm done with this video. When I'm done with it, I'll put links to those in the description as well. But for now, let's check out this other video from the Corbett Report.
And what does it do? Mike Maloney, the filmmaker behind the popular Hidden Secrets of Money documentary series, describes it this way.
The system that Bitcoin runs on is called blockchain. Think of it as a modern version of an old-fashioned bookkeeping ledger, but instead of a handwritten list of entries and calculations, a blockchain is a digital list of entries and calculations. A block is simply a bundle of transactions. Think of a block as a whole page of transactions in the old-fashioned ledger. A blockchain is just a chain of blocks. It's the same as a whole series of pages in the old-fashioned ledger. Easy, huh? Here's how it works. The Bitcoin blockchain actually exists in every one of the millions of computers on the network as exact copies of each other. However, for this example, so that we can zoom in and you can really see just how a blockchain works, I'm going to show it as one giant blockchain in the middle of a small network of computers. Let's follow a pizza transaction with Bitcoin. When the transaction occurs, it first appears on the network in a pool of unconfirmed transactions, along with thousands of others from all around the world. Millions of different computers from the network then gather some of these transactions and place them in their own blocks. The computers are all creating blocks constantly in the hope that theirs will be the next one added to the official chain. A new block is added to the chain every 10 minutes or so when one of the computers wins the right to have its block recognized as the next in the chain and is rewarded with a prize of newly created bitcoins. The way a computer wins the prize is by trying to guess the answer to an extremely difficult math problem. In fact, the problem is so difficult that even with millions of computers making guesses billions or even trillions of times per second, it still takes roughly 10 minutes to find the answer. Once one of the computers guesses the correct answer and wins, all of the millions of computers on the network that did not win are instructed to throw away all the work they have done, update their ledgers with the block from the winning computer, and start again with a new math problem. In doing so, the computers use an immense amount of power and cost a literal fortune to run. So why do they do it? Because it can be very profitable. This is where the term mining for bitcoins comes from. Instead of striking gold by mining for precious metals in the wilderness, these computers are hoping to strike Bitcoin by mining precious numbers on the blockchain.
But
All right, so we're going to stop that there. I think it gives just a little bit of an idea of how Bitcoin in particular works, but how blockchains work, and kind of how cryptocurrency works. But one of the good things I like about it is, like I said, it's peer-to-peer, so it's not like your money goes to a bank first. You're not having a debt note. Whatever cryptocurrency you have, it's because you invested in that personally somehow, whether you mined for it, you purchased with something else, you traded for it. It's an actual profit. It's not a debt like our fiat currency is. So I hope you guys do a little bit more research in that. While I'm talking real quick, I'm just going to look. Do any of you guys have any cryptocurrency? I put a link up there while that video was playing to my D-Live channel. And also, if you guys are interested in mining some cryptocurrency, I use MinerGate to mine Monero. So I put a link there if you want to use that link. It's an affiliate link, so you can mine it, and as you mine it, I can make a little bit extra as well. So you can support me as well as mining your own cryptocurrency. All right, hopefully that gets rid of the echo. Sorry about that. I appreciate you guys' heads up. Thanks, Jesse Hansen. Audatron, you have a Coinbase account, okay. Is that better, y'all, with the echo? Alright, so I'm going to move on here a little bit. One of the other things, so like I said, we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency on this show. That's one of the aspects I want to do. I want you guys to also, if you have some suggestions, send me an email to questionableauthority@protonmail.com or newsnownorthwest@gmail.com. Either one of those work. They're both also in the description of my videos. So if you have an idea of something you'd like me to discuss on this show, just send it there. I just want to discuss a couple more things. As far as one of the other things is, you know, if we're going to operate outside the normal economy, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to survive. So, you know, any kind of survival gear that you guys have, survival hacks, I'm going to be kind of working on some of that. If you have suggestions, send that to me as well. But one of the things is generators. So this is a friend of mine in a group I'm in, a voluntarist group I belong to. He showed me this, and he's actually made a couple of them. And they're solar generators. So instead of having a generator to run some of your electronics, a refrigerator or a stove or whatever you may have, if the power happens to go out, especially for an extended period of time, you know, a lot of people, you have to have fuel to run a generator, though. Well, this is one that runs on batteries. It runs with it charges with a solar panel. Then you've got your batteries with an inverter. It's all good to go. Kind of like a lot of off-grid people use. It's kind of like a homemade battery bank, more or less, a rechargeable battery bank. It's got a lot of perks because of some of the parts, like the inverter goes bad or something like that. You can just swap out the inverter. Or if one of the batteries happens to go bad, you can swap out the battery. You can add more batteries, less batteries. It's really a versatile system. So I've got a few pictures I want to show you of that. Let me get that pulled up here. So this is what he built. It's just this is one of them, a small one. This one has one battery. I asked him quite a while ago what the specifics are, and I don't remember, so I apologize for that. But here's one picture of it. It's just a DeWalt case. You can see there's a plug down here. And then open it up. Here's the inverter. The batteries are stored underneath here. Like you said, here's your plugs. The plug for the solar, I'm not sure exactly where. You can't see it in this picture, I guess. See if some of the other ones. But here you can see there's a plug just right there. You can plug in whatever you want to operate. And he has tested this out. He ran his bandsaw in his wood shop there. So it worked awesome. So he's going to be making some of these, and we're going to be trying to sell them. So that's part of the... Not seeing the inverter on the screen. Sorry, I was getting a message there. It's an 1100 watt inverter. There we go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can see. I was getting a message from my friend who made it. You can see right here. I don't know if you can see where my mouse is. That says it's an 1100 watt inverter. So I'm gonna do a video specifically just on making one of these. We'll show you how he made it, show you the parts he used, show you kind of how to put it together. And like I said, the idea is to make some of these, and then that's part of the underground economy. The alternate economy is to try to sell them and encourage, if you guys do business with people, encourage non-fiat currency transactions, bartering, cryptocurrency, gold, silver, whatever you want. I would just encourage you to use other ways to do your business than fiat currency. Every time we use fiat currency, we enrich the banking cartels. All right, so I just showed you that real quick. I don't want to get into it a whole lot. Just give you a little preview of what we got going on. Like I said, that'll be in a video coming up. So I've got a lot of good ideas of not only how to build an underground economy, but some of the things that you might be finding in an underground economy. Some of the things you want to think about that are going to be hard to come by. Obviously, ammunition is going to be hard to come by as things progress. Fuel is going to be hard to come by. Medications are going to be hard to come by. Things like that. So you really need to be thinking about those things as we move forward, starting to stockpile some of those things. Every time you go to the grocery store, buy some vitamin C, some things to keep you healthy like that. Maybe some pain medication or some vitamins, something like that. It's really important to start doing that if you haven't already. Another thing to start thinking about is if you have a ham radio, I hope to do a class or two. I have someone, hopefully I'll meet him this weekend and talk to him about coming on the show and doing a class on ham radio so people understand how to use a ham radio. You should all have a ham radio so that we can communicate when our network goes down, because the phones are going to go down. The grid's going to come down at some point. They've been telling us that. If you're someone who listens, they've been telling us this stuff. So these are all things that I want to talk about on this show. The ham radio is pretty important. I'm also going to try to, in the next couple of weeks, one of these shows early on, I'd like to get a guest on that has a little bit more experience in talking about this and hopefully setting it up so you guys can see what that might look like. But I do appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Does anyone, I guess, let's see here. Let me see. I'm going to put this up and we'll see if anyone if anybody is interested in calling in, then we'll pull you on and we can discuss whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to read your comments here, see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, you're right, Autotron. I agree. Crypto is a good way to move away from the federal dollars. At least take the power out of their hands and put it in some new people. Of course, there's all sorts of, psyops, different cryptos that have been created by the same people just trying to take advantage of it. But I don't know if you guys saw, I think Bitcoin is up last I checked today, it was 21,000 something. It had gone up over 1,000, I think, just today. A lot of the different current cryptocurrencies have really been going up a lot, so now is a good time to get into it. A good time to get out of fiat, of course. Oh, looks like I have a call here. I'm going to see who's calling in. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong number.
All right, well, thank you. All right, well, I thought I had my first call, but apparently it was just the wrong number. No worries. All right, well, it looks like I've been on for a while today. I don't want to take up the whole night, but I do appreciate you guys joining me. Oh, here, let me see if I can get back to it here. Froggy needs no master. Autotron is talking about cryptocurrency, that it's a good way to get away from the Fed. The ham radios are a good idea. So yeah, I'll leave this up, I guess, just for a couple more minutes. If anybody does want to call in, I had a call, but apparently it was the wrong number. So we won't... Okay, here I have a little bit of information while I have you guys on. We'll see. We have... On the inverter here, what we have shown, we have an 1100 watt inverter. And 160 watt solar panel is the one that will power this. Uh-oh, I just had one more missed call. Try that back. I'm sorry, I was looking at another message. Shadows and Dust, that was you. I'm sorry, I must have hung up on you at accident. Man, these... I apologize. Here we go. Here, I'm going to call you back, whoever just tried.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on? Sorry, man. I was trying to answer that call.
Gotcha. This is extortion everywhere.
All right, yeah, everybody let them know who's here. This is Extortion Everywhere we have on the phone. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. It's good to see you out there, man. Just want a little more information about the generator. How long does that hold without run anything? What will that run, and how long will it run it for?
Oh, you would have to ask that. So let me say it. It's 100 amp hour lead acid deep cycle battery in there. We discussed that I believe he could run one of his freezers for most of the day with that. Freezers don't take a whole lot. As far as how long he ran his bandsaw, I'm not exactly sure. I have to look in. I don't understand the amps and the wattage and all that a whole lot at this point. I'm fairly new to it, so I'm learning myself. But that's an awesome question, and I have that on record now, so we'll make sure we answer it when we do the video here. I'll probably discuss that either next week or the week after in more detail.
And what's the best way to get started on fiat currency, or not fiat currency, but Bitcoin or whatever the one you choose? Which is the best one, and how to get started?
Well, the best way is, first of all, get yourself like a wallet. I recommend the free wallet. Download that from the Google Play Store, probably the App Store on iPhone as well. Also, they have a website, it's just freewallet.org. I know you're in Washington State, so I'll say Coinbase is like the only place I know of in Washington State that you're allowed to like use a credit card to purchase some cryptocurrency. Now I can't remember the websites myself, but if you just get on your favorite search engine, I use DuckDuckGo, and just type in where can I buy Bitcoin. They actually have like ATMs now that are set up to be able to, you can buy Bitcoin. Now you have to, I believe, have a wallet address, so that's why you'd want to download Free Wallet. But that's how you can start, is either using Coinbase, something like that, which is an app, or through your credit card you can, or some of these ATMs that are around. Like I noticed in Washington State, they do have some in Seattle. I don't know if they have any in my area, but it's an option as well, something like that. Or you can start mining. Set up a wallet on Free Wallet, and like I said, I put a link to that miner gate, and you can start using your computer to just mine for some cryptocurrency as well.
All right. Well, thank you for the information, QA. I appreciate it, and I'll let you get on to your next caller.
All right, thanks. Thanks for calling Extortion Everywhere. Appreciate it, man.
All right, take care, brother.
All right. All right, well, there you go. I got through my first caller. Thank you guys for your patience tonight. I appreciate that. So I'm waiting. If somebody else wants to call in, feel free. I'll try not to hang up on anyone. I do see there is someone else to call. If you call back again, I should be able to answer your call this time. And while they are possibly doing that, let's see here. I want to get up. So I'm going to put a link in the comments section here. If you guys are interested in mining cryptocurrency, there's a link to MinerGate. Here we go. I got a call coming in. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. This is Autotron. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, Autotron. Nice to hear from you.
Right on. So, congratulations on a successful new broadcast with your telephone access, and it seems like you're doing some awesome professional style work here, and especially congratulations with your move to DLive. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's like it appears to me that you are on your way to being like off the grid, quote unquote, as far as presentations, informative presentations, as well as this move away from these negotiable instruments called FRNs. Yeah?
Yeah.
Congratulations on all of your successes.
Well, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of really don't have any questions, I guess, other than, do you think, maybe I can start with, do you think that we should keep going with YouTube no matter what, and not just abandon it, you know what I mean? Or, always have, something as a backup, or keep YouTube as a backup?
Right.
Vice versa, what do you think?
No, that's a good question, actually. It's kind of a tough one. YouTube is a lot of our biggest platform, so it is a tough one there. I think, at least for now, maybe keeping it as a backup is a good idea. I'm trying to make it not my primary platform anymore, so that when people look for me, they don't go, hey, let's get on YouTube. They go to, BitChute, 3Speak, something like that, or DLive. But I do like I like what you mentioned, keeping YouTube as a backup. One nice thing about that as well is when you upload to YouTube, a lot of these other ones like Library and Minds, it'll automatically go on to those ones as well. So that is one handy thing about keeping YouTube, because it does take up a lot of time to upload to all these different platforms. But no, I like that. I'm keeping it as a backup. So
right?
Thanks. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, everybody should, have a backup YouTube account just in case their account gets shut down. But not a lot of people, think about using YouTube as the actual backup and turning to an alternative platform as their main platform. The other day, I think it was 2 days ago, when YouTube, at sometime around 2 in the morning on the East Coast, YouTube shut down for about an hour. And that was a day and a half after they had another shutdown, And so I found myself searching for Brand New Tube. And I went to Brand New Tube, I checked them out, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I can watch some videos still, some informative videos. I'm not completely lost here. And so, I think there is an over-reliance on YouTube.
Right, I would agree.
But as far as my crypto wallet is concerned, I have been dabbling in the cryptocurrency thing for a few years.
Yeah.
Just that I've been lazy with applying myself. So, I actually know people that mine coins. They have mining machines in their house.
Really?
And stuff. Yeah. And it's just it's pretty cool. And they were, these mining machines were like 4 or 5 years ago that these guys were doing that. Right? One guy named Bob from Illinois, has a couple machines that he uses specifically for mining. And that was when mining bitcoins was very popular. It has since, I think, kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that, about the rate at which people can mine for coins, and do you think that there will be other alternatives to mining for Bitcoin? Maybe we can mine for XRP, or maybe we can mine, which is another Bitcoin another cryptocurrency. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah. Here, let me get it just pulled up on the screen here, you guys can see. So this is what I use to mine. The reason I downloaded it, like he said, a lot of people have like mining machines that's specifically set up. It takes a decent amount of CPU power to mine. So this is MinerGate. Here's some of the ones you can use or you can mine with it. I choose XMR. That's Monero. I like it. I like the anonymity of it. The other reason I like it is, so how mining works is you mine, you start accumulating it, and then once you accumulate a certain amount, you're able to kind of bank that, for lack of a better term. And when you bank that is when you're actually putting it into your wallet. Now the different, like with this miner, there's different amounts. With Bitcoin, let's see if it'll tell me here. Won't let me mine it. Yeah, it won't tell me on here, I guess. But it'll tell you how many. I think with Bitcoin, you have to, in order to bank it, you have to mine like 20. So you'd really have to have a lot of computing power and be mining it forever to really earn any Bitcoin, and then you'd be rich. Not rich necessarily, but you'd have a lot of money based on how much they are now. So do you mine it all on your computer? You still with me, Autotron? Oh, I think I lost him. All right. So at any rate, yeah, this is my miner here. There's different currencies. They have this smart miner where you can do multiple. You can actually say, yeah, I want to do all these, and whichever one is at the best rate, it'll actually switch to that one. So if I'm doing Monero typically, but there's one that is at a better exchange rate, it'll switch and start mining that one. But yeah, they all have different amounts when you can actually bank it. So you want to look into that. Like Ethereum has a lower amount on MinerGate. If you're mining Ethereum, you can bank it more often. With Monero, I don't know. I bank it about every 3 or 4 days, I think. And I don't make a ton of money, but if I do just a little bit now, and it keeps going up like it has been, it'll pay off decently. So it's definitely something to look into. In a way, Extortion Everywhere was asking about how to, get some cryptocurrency. So that's one of the ways without actually even spending any money. So I've been on for about 50 minutes here. I do appreciate you guys joining me. But I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream for now. It's a little bit longer than I intended. But I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a discussion tonight. I appreciate Autotron and Extortion Everywhere for calling in. We'll try to do that a little bit more. And I'm getting a little bit better every time I do this. I had a couple more mistakes tonight, but I appreciate you guys giving me some feedback in the comments. Remember to live free and don't obey your masters, that's for sure.